Hi, I'm Janet Baker, and on behalf of the Monticello Corporation, makers of Paper Tiger filing system software for document management, we want to thank you for attending today's webinar, and we will be entering you in our new contest to win a Kindle Fire from Amazon. During the presentation today, if you have questions, there is a question section in the lower right corner of your screen where you can submit questions. Note that there is a drop-down box for who you send your questions to, either to all attendees or to the presenters only. We will try our best to answer questions during the call today, but if we run out of time, we will be posting the questions and answers on our blog under the webinar category. This is also where we will be posting the webinar recording as soon as it is available. We are honored to have Ann McGurty with us today, who will be presenting the life cycle of file management and also what she calls a reality webinar, demonstrating how to index your items in Paper Tiger, working through her inbox, as well as answering questions that have been asked during your webinar registration and throughout today's call. Because we know that there are different levels of Paper Tiger users on the call, we will be covering the basics for those who are new and then lean toward more advanced functions, and we'll try to cover as much as possible within the hour allotted. Of course, it's impossible to give every detail and address every workflow issue in a one-hour webinar. The custom details are what you need Ann's services for, and later today she will be giving you details on a special she has available for you. Excuse me. Now let me tell you a little bit about Ann. She is CEO and founder of Strategize and Organize. Ann is a professional speaker, productivity and organizational coach, and author. Ann shows people how to work more effectively with less effort. Her entrepreneurial upbringing and corporate background mesh with her experience to get results. Ann's company, Strategize and Organize, improves productivity for individuals as well as organizations of all sizes and within all industries. She is the author of the book Lost in Your Own Office, and a contributing author to Speaking Your Truth, Courageous Stories from Inspiring Women, Volume 2. If you want to learn more about Ann and her services, please visit her website at strategizeandorganize.com. She may be in Colorado, but she's nationally recognized as an expert and works with people throughout the U.S. and in person and virtually to customize a system to make their lives more productive and organized. If you do not already have Paper Tiger, you can purchase from Ann's affiliate link, which I will copy into the chat section for you to pick up, and I will also be pasting all of her contact information into the chat section. Since we provide these webinars to you for free, this will help offset her time. Ann, thank you so much for your time and dedication to teaching others how to use Paper Tiger more effectively and productively. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Janet, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. And for all of you on the call, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be part of learning about the Paper Tiger Paper Tiger Online. And soon to come, you'll learn more about the Paper Tiger Digital Tiger, so that you will not only be able to organize your paper files and find them, you will be able to have a system to organize your digital files and be able to find them as well. So I thank you very much for taking the time to be here. As time management consultants often say, it's not about managing time. It's not about managing time because we all have the same amount of time. We need to find ways to be as efficient as possible with that time so that we can be organized and maximize it. I want you to know that some of the statistics about who's on the call today, that we have 42 people have signed up, and it may have changed in the last hour because usually in the last hour it increases. And out of that, 26 of you are currently using the Paper Tiger. So congratulations to the 26 of you that have made the decision to use Paper Tiger. For those of you who are not on it, and just a note of reinforcement for those who are using it, I want to tell you that I have been using the Paper Tiger since 2000, and too. I became aware of it when I was in the corporate world. I was in the corporate world and had a home office, and in my home office, I was completely overwhelmed with paper. I have always been very organized, but when it came to filing, even though I may have had an organized filing system, it was very, very difficult to retrieve the information. So for those of you who are not very familiar with Paper Tiger, it truly is a finding system rather than the basic thought of a filing system. With Paper Tiger, you are essentially creating an index or an inventory system is what I like to call it, of all of your files. And based on the information that you create in your system, you can then use the powerful search engine of the Paper Tiger to find your information later down the line. So for those of you who haven't made up your mind yet, hopefully you'll learn a little bit more today to help it be an easier transition to making the decision to purchase the Paper Tiger. As Janet also referenced, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation to those of you who are on this call, and it's not just about making a decision to use the Paper Tiger. It's for people who are currently using it as well, and if I can help you with some suggestions to use it more efficiently, I'll be happy to do that. According to our statistics, 8 people have used it for less than a year, and 4 have used it for 2 years, and 9 have used it for more years. Several people didn't indicate how long they've used it. Out of those people, I also want to note that we asked how many people are planning to go paperless. Well, 12 haven't decided, so that's about a little under a third. 20 do plan to organize both paper and digital, so you're going to really like the new Digital Tiger. And 8 definitely are planning to go paperless. So all of you are going to learn a little bit about creating the foundation of organizing your paper, which will set the mindset for the methodology on how to organize your digital going forward. Okay, well, for those of you who have not yet set up a Paper Tiger account online, what I have here in your screen is the Paper Tiger sign-in screen. Once you have used the link that Janet has provided you to set up your Paper Tiger online account, you will be guided to your own personalized sign-in screen to the Paper Tiger. And as you will see on your screen, you get a specific URL that is generic to every Paper Tiger user, and it's referring to app, the papertiger.com login screen. Once you get to this screen, you will set up your own account so that you, based on whatever email you would like to use, and you will then be able to log into your secured Paper Tiger account. Once you sign into your Paper Tiger account, now mind you, I've been using this for a while, so I have a lot of information in here. This dashboard right here is going to be what you will see when you sign into your Paper Tiger account. And the dashboard is essentially your welcome letter, that we are very happy that you've decided to become part of the Paper Tiger team. And there is a short video, which I'm not going to go through, but it will also give you some reminder tips on how you can use the Paper Tiger. So some of the terminology that you're going to use when you're come across when you're using the Paper Tiger is a database. The very first thing you're going to do is create a database. So we go in and create something new. So say, for instance, I don't know why, but the name Joe's Electric Company is coming to mind for me this morning. So if the name of your database could be Joe's Files. It can be quite that simple. Create a new database. And you'll see over here, I now have a new database called Joe's Files. So we're going to click in on that database and open up that database. Now, the first question it says is you do not have any locations. A location in PaperTiger is the physical space where you are storing your items, such as a file cabinet or a desk drawer. I know I'm reading that, but I want to emphasize that locations are any kind of storage area. It can be a file cabinet, a desk drawer, but it also could be something like a lockbox at the bank. It could also be a storage unit. Okay, so the basics that I want to start out with that are typical for PaperTiger users is we're going to add a location, and I'm going to say reference, and say these are all of Joe's Electric reference files located in Joe's office. And Joe's been in business a lot of years, so he has about 500 items. Now, review frequency would be if you want to have some file retention rules in place, that you may want to review them every maybe 6 months. Okay, what I want to go through here is one of the assets of the PaperTiger database is that when you name a location for where you have your files, I recommend highly that you describe where those files are. That way, when someone else is referring to your database, they know where to find the files. So let's go ahead and add this location. I'm going to add another location. We have 2 areas where we can set them up. We can set it up right here as a new, or we can add another one here. Another file location I'm going to recommend is action. I was on the phone with a participant of one of our webinars from a couple of weeks ago. I spoke to him yesterday, and he didn't understand the location action. But after we spoke for a few minutes, he realized how helpful that was. An action file is essentially, this is your go-to drawer that is closest to Joe's chair on the right side of his desk. And there's going to be 30 files in that drawer, and I'm not going to do a review frequency because I want to describe the word action files in the methodology of using the PaperTiger. Action files refer to current files or projects that you need close to hand. And these are projects that are maybe continuing permanently, or they may be short-term projects that will come to an end. And for practicality and efficiency, you want your action files as close as possible. So we're going to go ahead and add that location. Oftentimes, people have all of their files in what they call reference. They don't really think about it as far as action and reference. So I recommend that when you are setting up your reference files, here it says these are all of Joe's Electric reference files located in Joe's office. Actually, I should say, we can edit it because I don't like the way I described it. These are all of Joe's Electric Company's files located in Joe's office. So I'll just save that. And when you use the PaperTiger more often, you may decide that the reference files may be in another room because you're not going to refer to them as frequently. Okay, so now you have set up 2 basic locations for your files. The next thing you're going to do is print file labels. And file labels are something that go into the little plastic tabs that you would put into a Pendaflex file folder. For those of you who only use like a manila folder right now, I highly recommend, well actually I just absolutely recommend it, that you convert to using hanging file folders such as the brand Pendaflex. And those file folders have little insert tabs where you can use labels according to your Paper Tiger locations. And then what you're going to want to do is probably use the Avery file folders that you can buy at any office supply store, and you can stick those labels onto your file tabs. Okay, so as you're getting started here today, this is going to be your first day of filing and setting up your Paper Tiger system, so you're going to want to make tabs for all of those files. Now, hopefully, you are prepared for all 500 of these reference files, but if you don't really need that many and you are just maybe over-assuming, you can print as many as you need and maybe just do the first 100. In the Paper Tiger, it now will indicate that you can print a PDF file for that location. And as you see, we have the name of the file location. And what's different in filing with the Paper Tiger is that it is going to be in a numerical order. And we're going to look at that here shortly so that you can see how that falls into place. So once you print your report here, you preview it, then you can go ahead and print it. And in this case with Google Chrome, I would go ahead and print it here, and then it would be printed on those Avery file labels. All right. Okay, so now you have all of your labels printed, and you have your 2 locations. So what you're going to do now is you are going to go back to your, well, actually you should go back to your database, and you are going to go through that pile of paper that's on your desk. All right, so I'm going through my desk, and the first piece of paper that's on my desk are notes from a mastermind group. So here I have a choice. Is it something that's an actionable item, or is it reference? Well, my mastermind group is something that is consistently going on, so it is part of my action file. So I am going to create a new file. I'm going to call it my mastermind group. And so mastermind group is something that normally when you're filing, you would name a file. Now, in the past, you may have called it mastermind group. You may have called it networking or marketing. So that would be now key words that you would put into your Paper Tiger index here. You may also say your Tuesday morning group. The Paper Tiger asks if you'd like to select a category, and I'll go through this in another database later. Categories are for if you need to differentiate, maybe if it's business or if it's personal. Or if you're in a big company, you may have files that have the similar names. One may be for the HR department, one may be for the legal department that both have the same names. So selecting a category would give an extra differentiation between those files. Okay, back to my mastermind file. We're going to go ahead and add this to Action 1. Now what we have created is my first file, and you are going to put that in the Pendaflex that is indicated as Action Number 1. And it is now in your Paper Tiger system. As I'm going through my files again, I have another file that is regarding my book. And what is in there is the book is published, so it is now reference information. So I am going to jump to a new location, and I am going to jump to my location of reference. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to refer to it as book. Well, some keywords for book may be lost in your own office, which is the name of my book. But what I'm referring to right now on this pile of paper that I have is I have the publisher's contract. And I also have the order sheet. Okay, so those are some keywords that I have. I'm going to add that to reference 1. All right, so now what I have is just a beginning way of indexing my pile of paper that I have on my desk that I want to input into my paper tiger. Now, people ask, okay, how do you, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And I'm afraid that if I put all my papers into files, I'm no longer going to be able to find them. Well, that's okay for those of you who feel that out of sight is out of mind. With the Paper Tiger, you have the capability, after you set up all of your files, to create a report. And what the Paper Tiger does is it generates a custom report so that not only are you managing your information, but you're able to see it. So those of you that need the visual reinforcement of your file database, you can create an item list report of everything you input after you create your Paper Tiger system. So the first thing you're going to do after that day of inputting all of your files is you're going to create an item list report. When you generate an item list report, the Paper Tiger presents a beautiful report that is organized based on the different locations that you have. And in this case, I did a general one of all locations, and it identifies the item number within that location, the name of the file that you called it, and then the keywords that are indicated within that file. You can then print this report, and when you print it, then I recommend that maybe you put it in the front of each drawer of that location so that you physically can look at that if you do not have your computer available to look at where your files are. Okay, so there's several different reports, but right now I'm going to go through the sequence of how you start setting up your Paper Tiger. Okay, we've now done the item list report. Now that you have set up your Paper Tiger system, the greatest value is that you can now quickly and easily find things that you couldn't remember how you filed them. I'm going to go back and add another file into my reference, because this is the classic one that I use it as an example. And so often people will say, oh, I know my husband and I always have this problem. We set up a file called auto. And my husband gets mad at me, the person would say, because he's wondering why he can't find the Ford file, or the Explorer, or the vehicle, or the car. These are all words that other people will refer to when looking for that file. But if you have multiple people looking for files, they may not look in A, because that's not where their head was at when they were looking for that file. So with the Paper Tiger, what I recommend that you do is that you spend the time when you're indexing all of your files to think about words that other people may use, or even you may think of when later down the line when you're looking for that file. So that when you're 6 months from now looking for the car file, and see, I just said car. You type in the word car, search, and even though it wasn't the name of the actual file, it picked up a keyword that we had used when setting up that file, and we now know that you can go to reference number 2 to find the auto file. Now, why did you need the auto file? Let's open it up, and you'll see it's right here, and I'm going to edit it. The reason I pulled up the auto file today is that I have an emissions notice. Sorry, oh, good. I mistyped emissions. And you can see with the Paper Tiger that it gives you a spell check. So I got an emissions notice to be paid in November. All right, well, maybe, okay, say today's October, and say it was September, though, and you got that notice. And you weren't going to really want to deal with that until November. So what you do is then you create an action date for action, November 1st. Oops, I went ahead a year. 2011. And we are going to then know that there's going to be a pop-up at 11/1, and I will know that there's an emissions notice to be paid in November. So we're going to save changes. All right, so now you have an action date in there, and you can use your files as a manageable, workable system instead of having to cross-check everything everywhere. One of the things that I just noticed when I was setting up that action date is I was reminded that there's another field within the Paper Tiger. And in the Paper Tiger, there are several things that we have preferences for that we can set up. What I'm going through here is database preferences. And here on Joe's files, there are several things that you can give yourself an option of how you want to be reminded or how you want to use your Paper Tiger system. Okay, in the Paper Tiger, you can make a change to your reminder system. When I put in that reminder for November 1st, when you make a change to a file, it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to do this? And you say, yes, I want to be reminded. On the reminders horizon, do you want a reminder to pop up a week in advance? If you infrequently use the Paper Tiger, then that might be a good option. But if you are using your Paper Tiger system every single day, you might want to have a reminder every morning of what are actionable items for that day. For someone who is very administrative, heavy with their tasks, that reminder horizon, it would be an incredibly useful tool for your Paper Tiger system. Other options, when you pop open your Paper Tiger system in the morning, do you want to be reminded that you have reminders? Most people indicate yes. Now, another area here is something I really like to use for reminding myself what to do when those pop-ups come up. So there's a notes field within Paper Tiger that we did not have viewable as a default. So we want to change that to yes so that you can see the area on the system so that you can see your notes. All right, those are the database settings that I want to do at this time. Another preference that is available is a database export. Should you need to cancel your account for any reason, that we will recommend that you do export your database into XML. All right, you may want to do it anyway, not in anticipation of canceling it, because I guarantee you're not going to want to cancel it once you use it, but maybe just as a security blanket to export your file so that you have another database backup. So let's go ahead and update my database settings. And what you're going to see that's different is I now have this notes area, which was not on the previous screen. The way I use the notes screen is I would say when reminder pops up, pay the emissions statement. Okay, so we go ahead and we save the changes. Another area where that might be really helpful is I mentioned earlier that the Paper Tiger can be used for more than just papers. You can use it for a safety deposit box at the bank, but also I have clients that are very much collectors of books. So we're going to say our bookshelf. And this is the, maybe we might just call it library. And then we'll say this is the bookshelves in Joe's conference room. All right, we're going to add that. Oh, I beg your pardon. Okay, I entered, this is common for people often. They will start adding items into multiple locations or multiple areas where it's not where they want it. So they make a mistake and it's in the wrong area. So what you can do in the Paper Tiger is you can hit the little trash can and say, let's go ahead and trash this. Now, when you make a change to an item within a location, the Paper Tiger will ask you if you want a reminder of if you want a confirmation. Now, when you request a confirmation, it's a two-step process, kind of like when you opt into somebody's mailing list. Sometimes it's a double permission. This is a double access to make sure you don't lose track of what you're doing in the process of transferring or canceling an item. So let's say, yes, I want a reminder that confirmation. So I hit toss. And you see it's still located in your reference file. And what you have, though, is a note here saying pending toss. So how do you get rid of that? There is a confirmation icon right here. And once you confirm it by checking that box and identifying over here, confirm, then it'll be put into the trash. When you go back into my location of reference, it is no longer in that area. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my idea of creating a new location called library. And these are the bookshelves in Joe's conference room. And the capacity is going to be 1,000. He's got a lot of books. Now, when you set up in the Paper Tiger, actually I did this with the law office. I set up a library, and you can imagine law offices have lots of books. So what we did with them is then we printed labels for the library, and we went through and we got, we used the Avery file folder labels, and we cut them and put them on the spine of every single book within their library. So the Paper Tiger system made their libraries almost look like a real library because we had the name of the item, location, and number for all their books. So it said library 1, 2, 3, and we put those on all of those books. So you can have an organized library. I'm going to go back to my library, and I am going to add a couple of books. So what you would do is you would go through all of your books and maybe put the name of the book. Keywords might be the author's name. You may also want to say productivity or organizing as keywords. If you're really sophisticated and want to organize different areas of your books because you've got 1,000 books, you might want to create a new category for books and call them business. Then we're going to add to the library. All right. And as I said, some people have really big libraries, and we're going to add another book, and we're going to say The Joy of Cooking. I don't remember who the author is, so I'm going to skip that. But we're going to add a new category here, and we're going to say cookbooks and add to library. So now we have a new location of books called library, and we can use this now as a management tool for organizing our books. The reason I brought this up is a lot of people who have books like to share their books. So I am going to edit this, and I'm going to indicate that I gave a copy to Jim Grady at Monticello. All right. Well, maybe I'm going to say I lent a copy to Jim Grady at Monticello. And I really want that book back. So, no, Jim, I don't. That was a gift. So, if I was just loaning it to that person, December 1st, I am going to have my pop-up reminder. So, I'll go back to my Paper Tiger notes and say, sent a copy to Jim at Monticello. Reminder is to call and ask if he could please return. Save changes. And now I have a management tool to direct me to how to use my action date. So these are some of the ways that you can use your Paper Tiger system. And in the notes from what we received from attendees today is someone asked if there was, they were frustrated that they couldn't run a report by categories. So I'm going to go back and let you know, you can. So when you go into reports, there is an option where you can say show advanced options. So what you can do is you can run an item list report of either all locations, which is the default, or you can go into specific locations and see it by category. So I'm going to do the default and look at all locations. And if I wanted to see all categories, that's going to be my default. We can go ahead and do that. But let's say I want to see an item list report of all my cookbooks. And action dates, if you wanted action dates, it would be helpful, but it's not necessary. And then we can just go ahead and generate an item list report. And the item list report will give you a listing of all of your cookbooks. Another way that this can be helpful, I'm going to X out of that. I just want to mention that, why people do this is, hang on a second, there we go. If you are going to do an inventory of all of your files, and you're doing an inventory of all your files and you printed out the list reports, if you found out that some people will say, I've got business files mixed up with my personal files, and maybe they're going to move from a home office to their business. So what they would do then is look at their files, their reference files, open them up, and maybe go ahead and add a category for their files and say that this one is business. And maybe the auto file is personal. And you can create a category for personal. Oops, you see, I didn't have a category, so I have to go back into categories and create a new one and call it personal. Go ahead and add the category. I'm going to go back to my reference files, and I am going to go into my reference 2. I'm going to add the personal category and save changes. Now, why I went through that exercise is if, as I said, you have a home office and you're moving to an office and you have 500 files. Well, you can run, you can do two things. You can create a report. And my favorite report with most of my clients is that every 6 months, not most of my clients, with all my clients, I like to work with them in 6-month periods and say, let's do a file clean-out report where we can look at all of your files and decide if you still need them. And this is like the file purge. Well, number one, you can use this to organize and to purge out your files, but you can also use it to transfer files, and then you can create another location called Office. and move all you can identify which of these files you want to move to the office. So this is a management tool that you can use to not only organize your files, but as you can see, the ease of this report is that you can look at it in a glance without having to go into the drawers of all your files, and you can then delegate the moving of the files to someone else because you are telling them what you can do there. Okay, I'm going to go back to another area here. Another way that you can handle files is I was saying, okay, you had files in your reference drawer, and some were personal and some were business. Another way that you can organize that move from your home office to your office is you can run a report, an item list report for business, and actually you can use all locations again, and you'll generate an item list report, and what it will do is indicate anything that you had in the category of business, so that when you're preparing that move from your home office to your office, you will pull anything that you have inventoried and indexed within the Paper Tiger as business to move to your new office. Okay, now you have identified everything that you want to move, and you're going to set up a new location and say it's Joe's new office. Now, I want to keep in mind that that's a really long name, so that when you create your file, it's going to say Joe's new office 1, Joe's new office 2. So that might be a little too long. So what you might do is rename it to office and say these are the business files at Joe's office. Capacity, maybe 50. Go ahead, add the location, and you can move it. All right, so now we know that we want to move this file, we want to take this file of the book, the contract on the book, and we want to transfer it. So we're going to move it to a new location, which is the office. And this is where we want a confirmation of how we're going to do it, and say, yes, I want a confirmation of that, moving that. You confirm it. You go ahead and confirm it, and you can go ahead and move it. So now you have moved one item now into the office file, and you now only have one item in your reference file. So those are just a couple of different areas where you've got a brief overview of how to use the Paper Tiger. And I'm going to stop for a minute here to see if there's been any questions, Janet, that have come on while I've been talking. If you are thought of something that you would like to ask me, go ahead and use that little area down at the bottom of your screen for questions, and Janet will read those to me, and I will address them to help you with an area that you might want some more clarity. Janet, you got some?
Yes, I do have one specifically. It says, can more than one database be created and used? I did go ahead and answer that via the chat section, so I'm just going to read what I've answered, and then you can expand on that if you want to. More than one database can be created. Having different databases is only advantageous, though, if you want to keep different filing systems separate and do not want to search for all files in all databases at one time. For example, if you have an office database and a home database, and you do not want the items to pop up from your office database when conducting a search for an item in your home database. Okay, and do you want to expand on that at all?
No, that's exactly how to answer that. I'm going to go over here and look at my dashboard, and I'll show you how on my system I have several databases. Okay, I have Joe's files now. I've got Ann's home office. I've got a sample database for webinar, and then this is someone miscellaneous, and then I have my own business ones. Now, for instance, we can go into my own business files, go ahead and open them, and I'm going to look for the word lost. Okay, remember I had a file in my database for Joe's office for my book, and I have one in Action 6, but it's not picking up anything from the database for Joe's files. So if you are creating separate databases, and for instance, if you were to go ahead and create a database for your home, so say Ann's home office, and then my business files, if I had any duplication between the two of them, I would never know it. So the best thing is if you're a single user, you will want to have just one database, and the locations will be defined based on where that file is. So let me give you an example of that. This is my business files, and I don't think I have a location for office because I really don't. But I could create a new location and call it Ann's, well, actually I could say personal. And this will say, this is Ann's home office files. And there's like 100 in there. So we want to go ahead and just add that as a location. And let's put in here something like, I don't know what's going to pop up if I do my personal. Let's say shoes. Okay, say for instance I stored some things into a file called a list of everything that was in my closet. I would have used the word shoes. Wait, that's a bad example. Sorry. Let me go back. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to my personal location. You can see I use this for a lot of stuff in my house. And we're going to add a file for coupons. Great places to eat. And I just got one for Brio. So I add that to my personal file. So if I am going to go back to my database and look for restaurants, notice I didn't use it as a keyword, so I can't find it. So let's go in and say, now I know I've got coupons in there. Ah, I got several coupons. But here's the one in my personal file, and let's go in and edit that. I want to add the word restaurant, because when I was looking for it, I wanted to find it. So now I have coupons in my personal file, but again, the point that I was trying to establish here is that if I went to my dashboard and just looked at my personal files in my home office, if I had something regarding restaurants in here, we never would have found it. Okay, so I hope that answers my question from the participant regarding databases. Has any other questions come in?
One is, so is there a master file database for all the sub-file databases? And I'm assuming that we're talking about a location, maybe he's understanding the location as being the sub-file database within the database.
I think with that word sub-file databases, that sounds like somebody who would like to consolidate a report of every database with all the locations. And if that's the case, we do not have something. You'd have to go into each database and create a report for all locations. Does that seem like what they may have been asking?
I'm not sure. I just pasted what our definition of a location is.
Okay.
So, and that being a location within the database relates to where you will store your physical items, so for instance, paper files, books, CDs, DVDs, storage boxes, etc. This can be named anything you want. However, you relate to what you're indexing, such as office files, home files, just like Ann has already done. In addition to house, basement, garage, Paper Tiger uses locations to represent these places where you store the items you want to be able to find later. So.
All right, very good. All right, since we have a little bit more time here, I want to go over a couple of other maybe administrative things about using the Paper Tiger. All right, you can create permissions for people who have a multiple user account. You can buy a network version of the Paper Tiger, and in my case, I only have a single user. But what we can do is you can have multiple people using your Paper Tiger online account, and you can create permissions of what people can access. So if you have all of your files, your reference, your personal, your finances, your library, all those different locations, you can indicate preferences so that different users can only access different files. Under your account, you have a page which is your account of what kind of system you have purchased through the Paper Tiger. And as I mentioned, you can have a multiple user one, or you can have a basic one, and you can, like for instance, the business program, you can have 10 users, you can have 30 users, and you can have unlimited users. So I have worked with many different organizations, whether a 3-person company or an 800-person company. And Janet might have some numbers on what the biggest company is, but it seems to be a sweet spot that I have a lot of clients where they've been around 20 people, and that was when they were using the desktop version. And now with the online version, it's a lot easier for people to use it with an unlimited seating. So you can upgrade it right on your screen here. You can change the name of your organization. You can indicate if you want to be receiving or not receiving the Paper Tiger newsletter. You can definitely want to create a secured environment, because people like to know that their information is being stored securely. Make sure that you have that checked here. And who is the owner of this account? And in the case that you ever want to cancel your account, please call me first, and let's talk about why you think it's a good decision or not to cancel your account. But if you need to, this is how you could do it as well. All right. You have information. I don't know if I want to do my information because, oh, good. I was going to say, does it have my password in there? No, but if you want to change that information, it's all available on the screen here. And you can change your information, change your passwords. And that's all the thoughts I have on the administrative. The client that I was speaking with yesterday, who has a Paper Tiger desktop, for those of you who are using the Paper Tiger desktop, we can easily transfer your information from the Paper Tiger desktop to your online account. And if you are thinking about going paperless, and will be wanting to take advantage of the Digital Tiger when it comes out here shortly, you are definitely going to want to have the Paper Tiger online account. So if you want to get ahead of the learning curve, use the affiliate link that Janet has provided you so that you can download your copy today and start using it and start to be totally up to speed by the time the digital comes out. Any other questions? I think I'm out of thoughts here today.
Okay, and the question, let's see, there was, if I file in multiple places, file cabinet, box, plastic box, would I label locations as such? Would that affect the word search?
Not at all. As far as maybe speed, nope. It doesn't. All it does is has a little bit more area to go look for it, and it will find it.
Okay. The only other question I'm seeing right now is how about organizing emails, and of course that would be included in a Digital Tiger
right.
session. Yeah, and Digital Tiger is currently still in beta testing. We hope to have that available soon, but I can't give a definite date for that yet.
Okay. Yeah, that does remind me of one thing. Is as I mentioned and Janet mentioned, is I do not. I work with Paper Tiger and teach you how to use this product, and it is sometimes a very basic overall information, and I will be doing the same with Digital Tiger. However, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation to anyone who is using the product or wants to use the product, and we talk about ways that they can use it more efficiently and effectively for their company. My forte is to help you think about the business process flow of how you are using this product or other products and make recommendations so that you can work more efficiently. I do offer all of these services free because I absolutely believe that this is the best way if you want to get organized. It's the best way, it's the quickest way, the easiest way, it's the cheapest. There's just no other way I think anyone can get organized with filing unless they're using the Paper Tiger. So I really do want to help people by offering that free consultation. I also offer a coaching session where I normally offer it a lot more expensively, but to Paper Tiger users, it's for 4 weeks, an hour a week. It's $297, and during that time, ideally, we're going to be preparing you to transfer over to the Digital Tiger, but a lot of people want to get started right now so that they are organized in preparing for that transition. I wish I could have a testimonial. I'll probably call him today, but I spoke with a gentleman yesterday who took advantage of that free 30-minute consultation, and it turned out that he had worked with an organizer several years ago, and the basics of how he set up a system was never really done right, so it was always a little confusing to him. So I was able to give him a to-do list of 3 pretty significant projects that he needs to do over the next couple of weeks to prepare for moving forward into a paperless environment. So just having that free consultation, he can now move forward, and he has work to do. So I believe there is a lot of value, and he was I believe, very pleased, and he called me back 10 minutes after we hung up, and he said, "Oh, I forgot to do one thing, and I don't think I'm doing it right." And he was able to move forward and get started. So I'm here to help you, and the Paper Tiger team is here to provide you with the best product. And give it back to you, Janet, with any closing remarks.
Okay, great. And let me just clarify. I was going to type that in and send that to them via chat. Your current coaching special for a limited time is for $297 for 1 hour per week. Is that via phone?
Yes, it's by phone and unlimited email.
For 4 weeks.
For 4 weeks.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to paste that into the chat section for everyone so they'll have that available to them. Again, I have pasted Ann's contact information, and you have her link to purchase Paper Tiger if you don't already have that. Ann, great job. Thank you so much for your time and the helpful tips. This has been a great webinar. Everyone, contact Ann as soon as possible to take her up on her special that she's offering, again, for a limited time. If you're ready to get organized, and have Ann help you create a system customized just for you, call or email her to get on her schedule. Remember, she's offering 30 free minutes, and then you can decide if you need more help with her special of $297. And you'll be working more productive in no time. We want to thank you for attending today's webinar, and again, we do plan to post the recording on our website so you can refer back to it whenever you need to. Please feel free to give us your feedback by emailing us at sales, that's S-A-L-E-S, at thepapertiger.com. Ann, did you want to add anything else?
No, I just want to say again, thank you everyone. I realize how valuable your time is, and I really appreciate that you took an hour to learn more about the Paper Tiger product. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Ann. Okay, everyone. Thanks again for attending. We appreciate you using Paper Tiger. Have a great week. Bye for now.
Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.